Okay, so we're recording and I can edit out this stuff. And let me go back to where I was with the live stream. Let's see. No, wait a minute. I'm just trying to minimize it. Wait, okay. We're gonna stop the live stream and it wouldn't have started. It would have been a preview. Okay, sharing the timeline. How has your family been during the pandemic? And
Good. Sons have been the one youngest, he's 12. He's been virtual the whole time. The oldest is 17, and he's been back and forth between virtual and in person. So he was in person last week, and now he's back to virtual. So, but yeah, just it's a different day and age, different world that we're living in right now with COVID and trying to maneuver through it.
Yeah, I have two nephews and a niece, and my oldest nephew is at Wayne State. Okay, so it's going live. And then I'm just trying to see where that's going to show up on that's why I've recorded and I have it on both options. Okay, we're live. Alrighty. Okay, so good evening, everyone. This is Attorney Robin McCoy with Robin Legal, and our honored guest today is Sergeant Eugene Rush, who is with the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department. And so welcome, Sergeant Rush. I know that you have come on. We've had you as our honored guest for some of the programming that my church, Unity of Ann Arbor, has done. Dealing with racism, issues of the interactions with the police. And how are you doing? Because I know you were sick previously, and so how are you doing now?
Wow, I am doing a lot better. I caught COVID initially in March, or late March, early April, and it really did a number on me.
This was last year?
This was last year, yeah.
Right.
I was in the hospital for 6 days, and really at one point in time when a couple of my friends had passed away, I didn't think I was going to make it, but God is good and brought me through it. So doing a lot better now. Lost some weight and been back to work since August. So doing great.
Okay, then did you get vaccinated?
I did.
Okay, I did too. I mean, I had reservations, but then I have clients that want live exams, and I'm like, well, okay, I'm gonna have to be. I was like, okay, I was at first, I was like, I'm gonna be at the back of the line, and then once I started going back into court, I said, okay, no, I'm not. I'm gonna be in the middle of the line. I'm going. So I still take my herbal remedies: zinc, turmeric, elderberry. I pray, prayer, meditation, but I said, I'm gonna just do it. So at our office, all of us got it. Most of us got like the Moderna shots, and so, so we have you here today. We've had a lot of increased issues as far as interactions with the police we've seen in the media. And as you know, I do a program on what to do and stop by the police with middle school students, high school students. I do them in predominantly Wayne County and Washtenaw County. I've done some in Oakland County. I just got a request to do something in June. Obviously, I love doing those in person and partnering often with the police to talk to folks, to kids, about what to do when stopped by the police, or you could call it how to avoid catching a case. I've been a criminal defense attorney for 19 years, and I typically see people when they're at their worst and they've already given away a lot of their rights, or they've gotten in trouble, and then I'm kind of damage control, digging them out of the hole. And so I like to talk to kids and adults, but kids really ahead of time, like, okay, these are the laws, these are the general rules. really you need to do this so you can avoid catching a case. Don't hang out with people that are going to bring you down, things of that nature. So I'm going to start with some of the tips on what to do when stopped by the police. And I'm going to have us go, let's see, with the screen sharing option. Let me see if it's going to let me share the screen. Okay, yes. And I know that your office has the cards on some suggestions. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to read it over, and then I want you to give your insight as a Black male in America and as a police officer. So basically, common questions: why would a deputy remove me from the car when there is probable cause to search the car, search the vehicle, or when someone is being arrested? A deputy will often have everyone step out of the vehicle first. Why does a stop take so long? It may not seem like it, but there's a lot to do on a stop. Check driving history, search for warrants, verify information, etc. What can a deputy search? When can a deputy search my car, my home, or me? When a deputy has a warrant, believes a crime or evidence of the crime is nearby, or when there is an emergency, or as we say, exigent circumstances. However, if a deputy asks for you to consent to search, you have the right to say no. Even if you say yes and they start the search, you can stop it at any time. And before I go forward, do you have anything to add to that,
No.
what we just discussed? Oh, you don't?
No, I think, anytime we're talking about searches is covered by the Fourth Amendment, which prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures. So we're guided by the Fourth Amendment as well as our department policies in terms of searching vehicles and in terms of searching persons and arresting them. So again, we either have to have a warrant, we have to have probable cause to go get into someone's car, someone's home, or the like to begin any type of search. So.
Okay, and then it says, these are the most common reasons why you may be removed from a vehicle, why a stop takes time, and why you must be searched, but are not to be an exhaustive list. So you and I probably get into more details about certain circumstances. What to expect from a deputy when stopped. A deputy will treat you with dignity and respect. A deputy will be professional and courteous. A deputy will follow and uphold the law. A deputy will let you know who they are and why you were stopped. A deputy will attempt to establish control. A deputy will attempt to de-escalate a situation when possible. A deputy's primary goal is to complete their lawful business as safely as possible. Then it says you can contact the sheriff's administration to make a formal inquiry, and it has the number 734-973-4746. If you would prefer to talk with the Law Enforcement Citizens Advisory Board, you can contact them directly, and it has the email le-ca board@gmail.com. And it says the LCAB is an independent appointed body that will review a citizen inquiry regarding the service of the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office. Then if a deputy places you under arrest, they will have a legal reason to do so. A deputy makes an arrest based on probable cause. However, the court will decide if you are innocent or guilty of that crime. Do expect what the deputy asks. Do not resist or run. I cannot say this enough. Do not, if they go to arrest you, don't pull away. Let them arrest you, get a lawyer. You might be able to fight it and beat it, but don't resist, don't run. If you believe you're innocent, even if you believe you're innocent, don't resist or run. There's a time and place for you to prove your innocence, but while you are being arrested is not the time. Deputies will ask you questions and you are encouraged to talk to them, but you are not required to do so by law. I mean, for me, wearing my defense attorney hat, I say zip it. I mean, I say give your name, license, registration, but zip it after that. Don't be too helpful to create a case against yourself. But like I said, when we were talking offline, don't get in trouble. Don't have illegal stuff. Don't be hanging around people that are going to be doing some illegal stuff in the first place. So, and you will be placed in handcuffs with your hands behind your back. This is standard procedure. Keep in mind that handcuffs are uncomfortable. They will be snug around your wrist, but shouldn't be so tight that they restrict circulation. You will be searched for weapons. If you have anything in your pockets, let the deputy know prior to them searching you. So Sergeant Rush, what I would like to ask you in the context of what I just read, so what are some scenarios where that you would have probable cause to do a search?
So, say for instance, we're back to running traffic enforcement right now. So I stop a vehicle for speeding. I make contact with the driver, introduce myself, get the vehicle registration and insurance and the person's driver's license. Then I go back to my car and I check through our computer system, and I find that the person has an outstanding traffic warrant. So now it's an arrestable offense. Or say, for instance, the person does not have a driver's license. The person says, "Hey, I left my driver's license at home." That is a misdemeanor in the state of Michigan, and it is an arrestable offense. People can be arrested for driving without a license. So that gives me probable cause to get the person out of the car and arrest them for the misdemeanor violation of driving without a license. And then I get to search the vehicle in the immediate wingspan where that person was sitting. And that's just for my safety, to make sure that there are no weapons, no contraband, and nothing else in the vehicle that could hurt me.
So and then yeah, and so then typically where I come in like after the fact, damage control. I've seen situations where maybe the officers they see a gun in plain view, and then that'll give them probable cause. Or like you said, maybe somebody has a warrant and you're arresting the person, you search the car, you find a weapon or you find drugs. How have things changed now as far as like, because it used to be if you had marijuana or smelled marijuana, then that could be arrestable offense, but now it's been legalized for people that are 21, things like that. So how has that changed? How have you guys changed your policy in light of the fact that marijuana is legalized, not for children, but for adults?
Correct. So, marijuana is legal. If the problem is if you are operating under the influence of marijuana, that's a crime. So if you are driving down the street and you have your safe amount of marijuana and you are smoking it while you are driving a motor vehicle, then you are operating while under the influence of drugs, and that's an arrestable offense. So if I come up to a vehicle and you roll down the window and I get this strong smell of marijuana, I can ask, "Have you been smoking any marijuana?" And if you say yes, then I get to do and perform several tests that would test your sufficient driving behavior for being in that vehicle. So once I determine that you are impaired, then a lot of times you have to go to jail.
Okay. And then what about I know that you guys have a new prosecutor who has talked about that there's I'm trying to get to the other card here. That has said no pretext stop. So has that changed the way you guys are doing things?
I mean, you always have to have at least reasonable suspicion or an articulable offense before you even stop the vehicle. So we do traffic enforcement. Speeding is a offense where we get to stop a vehicle if you run a stop sign, run a red light, or disregard any traffic code violation for the Michigan compiled vehicle code. We can stop you and identify who the driver is for that offense. So a lot of times attorneys will say, "Well, it's just a pretext stop." There are quite a few things in the Michigan Motor Vehicle Code that we can stop a vehicle for. A lot of attorneys will call those pretext stops, but they are valid reasons for stopping the vehicle. So if you have a tail light out, if you have a brake light out, if you have a headlight out, those are all offenses that we can stop a vehicle for and identify who the driver is.
Okay, you can stop, identify the driver, but you're not going to necessarily arrest them unless, like you said, like they have an outstanding warrant.
Correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
And so for the next part of the card, it basically says it's normal for you to be nervous or confused when being stopped by a deputy. The sight of flashing lights in a rearview mirror can cause some, I would say most Black folk, I know I have some white friends too, but Black folk, okay, to feel anxious. For our deputies, a traffic stop can be a dangerous and stressful situation. Shining a spotlight to clearly see, calling for an additional car, or having you wait in your vehicle while they check your driving status may seem as if you are being treated like a criminal, but in fact, it may make sure everyone involved is safe. You know, and I know from doing this, I know what a lot of the deputies have said, even Attorney Mike Vincent, who used to be a police officer, has said the police want to get home safely to their family as well. So, you know, and I, you know, what I said the other day when we interviewed Sheriff Clayton is, you know, I have a background as a dancer, and I look at this as I'm in the role of a choreographer here with doing these programs. I'm trying to choreograph it in a way where everybody has everybody gets to go home and tell their tale, and we have the least amount of consequences, because you know what we are seeing you know, in the media, we not every Black folk, particularly Black, are being, you know, there's some I don't know, some people are saying it's KKK cops, I don't know, that are, you know, killing Black men, women, and children. So it's not, you don't get to tell your tale. And that's, you know, that's why I try to just, I know some people, the kids are like, well, we're glad you're doing this, but are you talking to the police too? And I mean, I do talk to the police, but I also say to the police, y'all need to talk to y'all peeps, because y'all not making any safe when you get the, you know, some of the folks that are out there creating, it's isolated. We know most cops are good cops, but when you get some of the bad apples, some of those KKK cops out there, they're making it harder for everybody else, because then you get wacko folk doing stuff like what happened at the Capitol. You get folks going out losing it.
You know, I agree, Robin. You know, I get nervous when I get pulled over by police, being an African American male. So, you know, I have gone to great lengths to teach my sons what to do when you get stopped by the police. My 17-year-old is driving now. He drives every day to school, and I tell him, I said, you know, you may be in an area that people don't know me or know me as being a police officer. So you need to follow the instructions to the letter. You keep your hands on the steering wheel. You are respectful. You don't do anything that the officer tells you to do, what they ask you to do, and then you just comply. If there's an issue, you don't argue. You just go along the program and you come home safe. And that's a direct order from me to my son. And you know, it's sad, but most African American males have to have this conversation with their male son. That's something that you don't see in our white communities, but it is definitely something that we see in the African American community, our communities of color. What to do when you are stopped by the police.
Right. One of my partners in Detroit, Detective Brian Fountain, has coined the phrase, comply now, complain later. Again, you know, we want you to live to tell your tale. We don't want to be, you know, you're in the news, we got to call Attorney Ben Crump or Lee Merritt or Chris Stewart or Lanita Baker and have protests and all kinds of stuff going on. So it says, let's see. The following points are just suggestions, but they can ensure that you and the deputy are on the same page. So if you're pulled over in your vehicle, stay calm and in control of your emotions. Find a safe location to pull over. If dark, turn on your interior light so that deputies can see that all is okay. Stay in your vehicle unless instructed otherwise. Keep your hands on the steering wheel so that the deputy can see them. A bright spotlight is used for safety, not to intimidate or embarrass you. When asked, provide your license, insurance, and registration. If out of reach, let the deputy know where they are before grabbing them. Going into the glove box or reaching under the seat can look suspicious and add to the stress of a deputy. If you have a question, feel free to ask. Remember, a traffic stop is not the time nor place to debate your actions or that of the deputies. I repeat, it is not the time, because I had a client, I gave him the information, the cards, and he gonna show me a video of him arguing with the police. And I'm like, that's not the point of these videos. That's not what the cards are saying. I'm like, what are you showing me here? You are arguing, this is not the point. But anyway, okay, I just have to digress. Going into the glove box or reaching under the seat can look suspicious and add to the stress of a deputy. If you have a question, we went over this, feel free to ask. Remember, a traffic stop, I must be just meant to say this again for some people that just need to hear. I mean, I went to Catholic school, I had to have repetition. Remember, a traffic stop is not the time nor place to debate your actions or that of the deputies. I've seen some of my white brothers and sisters that have argued and they've been okay, but a black person, I mean, it's not the same. So in certain cases, your car can be searched without a warrant, and without your consent, you have the right to refuse a consent search. And so let's see. I'm going to read through it and then I'll come circle back to get your input. So if a deputy pulls you over, they have a legal reason to do so. Even if you do not agree by law, you must comply. You may have committed a traffic violation. Your vehicle may look like one used in a crime. Your vehicle may have defective equipment. We may want to warn you about a potentially dangerous situation. Whatever the reason, we need your cooperation. Do you have anything to add about if you're stopped in your vehicle? I mean, I know there has been this question about recording. Supreme Court has said that you can record. There is software that I know was purchased for me where you can have like a dash cam in your car. You know, I know Sheriff Clayton said definitely if you have a passenger, have them record. I say to folks, I mean, it depends on how your phone is positioned. Like if you have your phone on something where you can just press a button, you can record. But if you got to shuffle around and it might make them think there's a gun, I mean, I feel like we need our engineers out there just to invent some technology where you can just push a button when you turn the car off and the recording comes on. Of course, we know the police have body cams, but they don't know. Sometimes they turn the body cams off. Like they said, the lady that killed Dante Wright was instructing her officers to turn the body camera off. So, but do you have, based on what I just read about being stopped in your vehicle, do you have anything to add?
So yeah, I would just say that it's me as a law enforcement officer just taking off the African American male hat. I want to go home safe to my family as well. So I'm gonna do things that are gonna keep me safe. So you're gonna see, if it's at night, you're gonna see a bright light in your rear view mirror. You're gonna see me stand back from the vehicle instead of coming directly up to the driver's side window. Because what we've seen from a lot of different police involved shootings, that when we make ourselves unsafe and put ourselves in an unsafe position, we have the potential to get hurt, to get shot, and you know, sometimes get killed. So we do things that are going to help us to stay safe and to go home to our loved ones. At times, depending on the nature of the stop and how many people are in the car, I'll approach from the passenger side.
Okay.
That's just, I ride by myself, so that's just a safety concern for me. If there are 4 people in the car and I'm in a kind of dark area and I'm by myself, I want to be as safe as possible. So I'll approach from the passenger side to make contact so I can see inside the vehicle first, and then talk to the driver from the rear passenger side. And just do a lot of things just to keep us safe and to keep you safe and keep the community safe. We want to make this a seamless, you know, transition from I stopped you for this reason, this is my name, here is a warning, or have a nice day, fix the headlight, or you have a warrant, and you have to go to jail. So we want to make it as seamless as possible. And it's good just to reiterate what you said. The traffic stop is not the place to make a debate on the actions of what's going on. You can complain later. Our body cams are the newer body cams. So whenever the lights are activated, our body cams are activated. Our department policies are very strict and very to the point when it comes to you don't turn off your body cam. It's a violation of policy to do. So once we make that traffic stop, the body cam goes back 30 seconds in the past, and then starts recording what happened 30 seconds prior. So if you ran a stop sign, if I was sitting at an intersection, ran a stop sign, and then I stopped the vehicle, the moment I turn on the lights, it would go back 30 seconds prior to me turning on the lights and catch the person running the stop sign or running the red light, which gives us the probable cause to make a stop. I guess most importantly is just not to argue, not to be disruptive during the stop. Yeah, you can question, yeah, officer, why are you stopping? I'm stopping you for X, Y, and Z. May I please have your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance? Well, I don't want to give it to you. Well, once you start that bantering back and forth, then you're getting into the obstructing range. If I have a valid reason to stop you, you have to comply. And then if you don't like the outcome, if I wrote you a ticket, then you can go to court and take care of it that way. Or if you got arrested for something, you can go to court and take care of it. But to stay out in the street and argue with the deputy or officer is just it's a bad decision.
Right. And I know some people, some Black folk, poor folk, they may want to try to run off because they know they're on a suspended license or they don't have any insurance. And it may be something that can easily be resolved. So I say, don't flee, don't run off. If we know that there's a directive for you to pull over safely, safe location, but don't go too far because that could be considered fleeing and eluding. And I did want to ask you on that point. I don't know if you've seen the video footage of he was the brother who was Black and Latino from the Army, and he waited to go to a gas station to be pull over. And have you seen any of that footage? And did you have any thoughts about that interaction with the police?
So again, I commend the young Army officer and his poise and how calm he was, with officers screaming at him and officers screaming at him to do two totally separate things, to not move and to keep his hands where it can be seen, and just conflicting directions. But he stayed calm. He didn't move his hands from where they were, and his voice was calm. I think that that's what you have to do. The unfortunate part of that is that the officers, in my opinion, just kind of over-escalated that situation with their directions and weapons out and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't think that was called for a traffic stop or traffic violation.
Yeah, it was like the officer was amped up, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't know where he had just come from, but I'm like, you don't pepper spray somebody, calm it down. Like, dude, that's why I just feel like some people don't need to be police officers. If you're going to get amped up and you're going to be trigger happy, just like, let me kill a Negro today, you got to have somebody that's calm, that can deal with the situation, try to de-escalate it. We don't need police that are just shoot or kill a Black person and then ask questions later. So I know Detective Fountain also talks about, when it kind of some of the same things that are in here, when you get pulled over, turn all the lights on and roll down the windows. Now, I mean, obviously, if you got some stuff in your car, first of all, don't have no stuff in your car, follow the rules. But if you got some stuff in your car, maybe you don't need to turn on the lights. Okay. It's got to be specific to the situation, but be polite and respectful. Give your registration, license, all that. Be polite. You get more If you're more courteous, just like when you come to court, dress properly, speak properly to the judge. Yes, Your Honor, no honor. Don't come in there with a little attitude and then you're going to expect some favor and it's not going to happen. So I know finally we have the section about if a deputy comes to your home, it says we enter your home without your permission if we have a warrant or if there is an emergency. If a warrant is needed, we have a copy with us and you can request to see it. If you consent to search, you can refuse. If you are arrested, we can search you and the area immediately surrounding you or where there is evidence of criminal activity in plain view. Do you have anything to add for the viewers about that, about the search in the home?
So the home and the vehicle is different because the vehicle is mobile, which gives us a little bit more of the exigent circumstances. Home, you're definitely going to need a warrant to get in there to search, or you're going to need consent. All of our deputies carry what's called a consent to search form, and we will read that to a person and say, hey, will you give us consent to search your home? If they say no, then we would go and get a search warrant and come back with a search warrant. But unless we have exigent circumstances, and by that I mean we'll go from traffic stop. So we have a traffic stop where the driver gets out, takes off running because he has a warrant or has a pistol in the car, and he takes off running and he goes into a house. Well, we have exigent circumstances based on hot pursuit, where we can follow him into the house to make the arrest based on the traffic stop. So that would get us in the house. Other than that, we couldn't search the house because that was not the object of our or scope of our investigation. The scope was to detain the driver and arrest the driver. So that would be one instance where we could get into the house. We don't need a warrant. We don't need consent to search. If they run into the house and we're right behind them, we get to come into the house also. And I always say, choose your friends wisely. A lot of times it's not you that gets yourself in trouble, it's your friends that get you in trouble. So if you have that friend,
right,
that friend might make both of you guys riding dirty. You might not want to have them in your vehicle. So.
Right. I mean, that's why I tell the children, the kids and the grown-ups, stick with the eagle, stay away from the chickens because the chickens will bring you down. I mean, I don't have a whole bunch of people in my house. I mean, I feel like some people I don't have people in my car. I feel like Chris Rock has that video where you got to do a pat down on people before they get in your car. Like, okay, I'm gonna look, let me get a light. I got my little light. Okay. Cause no, I'm not trying to have no drama. So I do want to ask you, before we talked about the issue of the lawful use of guns, about, I don't know, have you been following the newest case, Dante Wright, the young man that had the traffic stop and where the deputy said, she's saying on the video, taser, taser, but she got her gun in her hand and she shoots him. And they said it was like an issue was improper registration. What are your thoughts?
So again, a sad state of affairs. My heart goes out to the family of Dante Wright for him losing his life over a misdemeanor warrant. It's sad just to see that happen. We train all the time with our weapons as well as our tasers, and for just that reason, that's why they're on opposite sides of our gun belt. We have our firearms on our strong side, we have our tasers on our weak side.
Okay.
Just so we won't make that mistake of grabbing the taser and grabbing the gun in place of the taser and using lethal force when we wanted to use less force. Just watching the video, and again, I hate to criticize and second guess other officers, but the officer clearly said, taser, taser, taser. She did all the things that we are taught to do when we are drawing our taser and when we're getting ready to deploy it. But under stress and under high stress, a lot of times, it's difficult to make that decision. But through training and through repetition, you have to know when you are grabbing your firearm versus when you are grabbing your taser. I mean, that's just something that's very basic, and you have to be able to do it under high stress. You have to be able to make that discernment in a life or death situation. You know, a lot of people say, well, what if somebody has a knife and they're coming at you? Why can't you tase? Well, again, we get into use of force statutes and use of force policy. And the state of Michigan, as well as our department, gives us the 1+1 method where we can go up one level to deal with somebody that has an edge weapon. We know that 21 feet is a critical distance from where if someone is 21 feet from me and they're charging me with a knife and my gun is in the holster, I probably will not get a chance to get my gun out and shoot them before they can stab me. So we have to be wary of that. Would we bring a taser to a knife fight? Not necessarily, because that knife could be lethal to me. So if I tase you and you still have the momentum and you are able to stab me in between my vest and hit my carotid and hit my vital organs, and then I bleed out and die, but you've been tased. So we get to go one up and we can use lethal force to stop someone coming at us with a knife.
And then, yeah, I know one of my friends that's an officer, he said something about that you guys are trained to eliminate the threat. And I'm like, if, my thing is somebody come at me with a knife, whatever. People can always, in certain situations, I mean, I'm not expecting y'all, like if somebody come at you with a knife, you got, like you said, you might die. I mean, you tase them, but what if they're dope, hyped up on some kind of medicine, some drug, and the taser doesn't work? So I mean, I don't think people are, if a person has a knife, I mean, I think the issue is if it's a little knife, like Ora Rosser had a little knife, people were upset about that. But like a big knife or again, I do think that people need to put themselves in the shoes of the officers and think about that. I mean, I know I have a black belt in Taekwondo, and they would come at us with the knives and we had to defend ourselves. But so I think if it's a weapon, it's just, you have those situations where people don't have weapons or a phone is mistaken for a weapon. And I know that's where some members of the public say, well, why can't you shoot him in the kneecaps or shoot him in the foot? And I know some of my colleagues that are officers have said you guys are trained, like shoot him in the chest.
Correct.
And yeah. So, okay. The next point that I want to talk with you about, which is a big issue, and you and I have talked before about having some programming on this issue: guns, lawful use of guns. Now, again, audience, if you got a temper, we're not talking about you getting a gun. Not everybody needs to be getting a gun, okay? Because I've had some clients that got a gun and they jumping off, and then they end up going to prison for life and everything. So we're talking about responsible adults. Responsible. Okay, so Sergeant, give my little disclaimer, because you people, oh, I had a gun and no, and they call me, and I mean, I'm not saying I won't take your case, but I'm just saying responsible adults. So Sergeant Rush, if I am a law-abiding citizen and I want to protect myself, like what are the rules as far as how old do I need to be, and how would I go, what is the lawful way for me to have a gun?
So you have to be at least 21 years old to have a firearm. And firearm is considered a weapon that fires a projectile a certain number of feet per second. You have to not have a criminal background. And the Second Amendment is that amendment. A lot of people say, well, I'll just open carry. Well, you can do that. You can open carry. But once you get into a vehicle, then it is concealed. So you either have to have a concealed pistol license, a CPL, or you cannot cannot get into the vehicle with that weapon on your hip. It has to be placed, locked, unloaded with the ammo and the weapon in separate locations within the vehicle. A lot of people get that confused and say, well, I'm going to buy a gun for protection and then I'm just going to go out and carry it. That's not the way it works. You either have to have a CPL to carry that weapon lawfully, or you have to be open carrying it under the Second Amendment, which people are free to do, but you can't conceal it in any way. And businesses have the right to, private businesses have the right to tell you not to come into their establishment open carrying. A lot of businesses can do that. And it's not anything that anyone can do about it because it's a private establishment. So you can't open carry in a sports arena. You can't open carry in a bar. You can't open carry in the school district. You can't open carry in a bank. So there are a lot of areas where you cannot open carry. But a lot of people get confused on how to do it correctly. So I always say, when in doubt, get a CPL.
And then, and I'm aware that a person can have a weapon in their home or business without having the CPL. And then my understanding was that if you had a gun that you are able to have it in your trunk and have the gun separate in a separate box, the bullets not loaded. And so you can have that in the trunk of your car. What if you don't have a trunk? Well, I guess what I'm thinking of, there's trunks like that are concealed trunks, and then there's some trunks that are like open. So is it the same thing where you have it in a box, like, and the gun is unloaded in one box and the bullets are in another compartment?
They have to be separated in different compartments. And if you don't have a trunk area that will allow you to do that, then you have to put it on the passenger side, away from the driver.
And then as far as the CPL, getting the license to carry, how does that work?
So you have to first get what's called a permit to purchase. And you would go get that from a gun dealer. And once they sell you a gun, they'll have you fill out the permit to purchase. Once you fill that out and you purchase the weapon from the gun dealer or a gun shop, you bring that permit to purchase up to Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office, Station Number 1, which is on Hogback Road, and turn that permit to purchase in. So now you have a legally registered gun that you can take in your home. If you have a CPL, you can carry it on your person. But the first step is to have that purchase permit, and making sure that once you get the purchase permit, you purchase the weapon, that you file the purchase permit with the county in which you live in.
So, and that's what the next question I was going to ask you is, so where you get the CPL it's typically the county where you live. You can't, like, if I'm in Wayne, I can't go to Washtenaw.
So the purchase permit is county specific. So you have to go to the county gun board to turn in your purchase permit. The CPL, you can get the training anywhere. And once you get the CPL, it's valid anywhere in the state of Michigan.
Okay, and then the training, how long is the training and what does that entail?
So the CPL training is I think 16 hours, 8 hours of classroom, and then 8 hours of range time, where you go through the various laws of what to do when stopped by police officers, where you can legally carry that weapon with a CPL, and where to go should you have any problems or issues. And everyone that gets a CPL, the first thing that they're told to do, if you are stopped by any law enforcement officer, the first thing you have to do is say, officer, I am a CPL holder. I do or do not have my weapon on me. And that's just a relief for us. But you want to make sure that we know that you have a weapon on you when you come up to that car. I know the increase in concealed weapons arrests, at least for us here in the county, has increased quite a bit in the last 7-8 months. Arresting quite a few younger people, anywhere between the ages of 19 and 25, who have weapons in their cars but don't have a CPL. And that's CCW, which is a felony. So I always encourage people, please get the purchase permit, do it the right way, and then you won't have any problems later. Because once you get a felony on your record, as you know, Robert, it's so difficult to get it expunged and clear it up. So it prevents you from getting jobs and getting into various schools and doing things in your life. So making that decision not to get caught with a felony and a weapon is an important one.
Right. And I have a number of clients like, I mean, I know it's statewide that there has been an increase of people purchasing weapons and getting charged for carrying a concealed weapon. You know, and I have clients all over Washtenaw, Wayne, but it's more Wayne. I do indigent defense, and I know myself and other members of the criminal defense bar have talked about we are seeing an exponential, a high amount of people getting carrying concealed. And that's part of why I wanted specifically to have you come in and talk about this, because people are like, oh, I thought you could open carry. And I'm like, no, you can't open carry in your car. And I mean, I'm gonna just keep it real. There are rules for Black people and there are rules for white people. And I have white clients too. Get a CPL. If you're gonna have a gun, get a CPL. And I mean, I know that they said for Wayne County, there's a lawsuit pending because they're saying that it's even before the pandemic, it was hard. I have a friend that actually worked in that office and they said they closed it down because of the pandemic or things slowed down. I mean, I feel that's wrong. I feel that Black people, responsible adults, should be able to get, just like anybody else, you should be able to get a CPL. Again, caveat, if you are not a responsible adult, if you got anger issues, if you got mental health issues, I am not talking to you, okay? Because I do not, I've been doing this 19 years and we are not talking to you. So we're not saying everybody need to get a gun, but the flip side of it is some people, Black folk, live in a rough neighborhood where the police maybe don't have enough police and they have to handle stuff on their own. So, and they should have a right, just like anybody else, to get a gun in their home, their business, and carry. I mean, I know also what was told to me, some of the judges in Wayne County said, don't go to the gas station at nighttime. There's just certain things you don't do if you're living in the hood, you know, and but I'm not, from me being from Ypsi, Ann Arbor, I'm not going to prejudge somebody getting a gun, and I'm not living in the hood. I mean, I have stayed there. I have, my boyfriend lives there, but I'm not going to prejudge you. If you got to live in a rough neighborhood, you got to do what you got to do. But we're talking about following the rules. And if you have a prior record, you're not eligible. I mean, there are lawyers, I can share that information, that will help you get your record set aside or have you and get that eligibility to have a weapon responsibly, not just out buck wild, just trying to intimidate people, act crazy, but responsibly protect yourself. So did you have anything else to add about that issue about the lawful use of a weapon?
No, I just want to read something on the carrying concealed weapon. It's from MCL 750.227. It just says concealment is an essential element of the crime of carrying a concealed weapon. And for CCW, complete invisibility is not required. The weapon is concealed if it's not observed by those casually observing the person, as people do in the ordinary and usual associations of life. So if you walking down the street and you think you're open carrying, but your shirt is covering the majority of the gun where it can't be seen by somebody that walks by you, then you're carrying it concealed. So,
and like I said, I mean, again, if you're a Black person, I just keep it real. Get a CPL. Because white people, you got white people that have guns, people don't get scared of them. They, you know, white folks going and shooting up stuff and they take them to Burger King and they shit, but a Black person, you gonna get shot, they gonna take you out. So just get a CPL, folks, just get a CPL. I'm tired. I have some white clients have had issues, but it's mostly Black clients. I thought I could open carry and I'm just tired. I mean, that's why I do this program, because I'm so tired of people telling me, I thought it was open carry. It's not open carry in your car. And even, you know, like you said, you could be out, you think it's open and obvious, and it's a matter of interpretation. And a lot of times you're going to be on the wrong side of that interpretation. And you Black, if you Black, people get scared of Black people. I've had people when I was in Chicago grabbing their purse. I'm walking in the nighttime and they're looking at me and I'm like, look, I'm worried about myself. I'm not trying to mess with you. I'm just trying to get from A to B. So whatever. So then I know you sent me your bio. I was not able to open it. I know you went to Detroit Mercy Law School. Where did you go for undergrad?
I went to U of M, Ann Arbor, undergrad. It's three years there. Graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Communications and Broadcast Journalism. I wanted to
Okay,
be,
and then
I
how long
wanted to
have
be
you
a
been a,
reporter.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to be a reporter.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, we can have you talk to Attorney Martin that does Political Coffee. She can talk about that. She's got a journalism background. And then how long have you been a police officer and how long have you been with the sheriff's department?
I think my total time right now is 34 years in law enforcement. Um,
Okay.
18 years was spent at the city of Ypsilanti. And I retired there as a sergeant. And then I've been here at the sheriff's office since 2004. So 17 years here. So a little bit under 35 years.
Okay. And then, like I said, I know you went to law school, and how has having gone to law school helped inform you in your work that you do as a police officer?
I think going to law school helped me more so with writing a good police report. Prior to law school, getting on the stand and having defense attorneys just turning you upside down because you left out elements of the crime or you did not have complete information was beneficial for me. So going to law school and coming out and once I get on the stand, a lot of local attorneys would try to trip me up until they found out about my educational background, found out that I was an attorney as well. So it helped in terms of me writing my reports, knowing what crucial elements need to be in reports to help the prosecution to get a conviction. So I think it was good for going to law school for me and just majoring in like contract law, just understanding how various contracts work, how they're broken, and how to be able to successfully negotiate contracts and write a good police report. So that was helpful.
Okay. And then finally, I know I said I wanted to talk to you about your thoughts about the George Floyd, well, it's Derek Chauvin, it's his murder, but Derek Chauvin's trial. And so have you been watching any of the trial or the highlights? Or I'm sure, I don't know that there's any person on this planet who hasn't seen the video of Derek Chauvin putting his knee on George Floyd's neck. So what are your thoughts as a Black man and as a police officer, as somebody who has the law degree? What are your thoughts about?
So from the onset, from just watching it in May, I have the same opinion. It's horrible to watch, and watching the trial and seeing everything that's coming out. It's again, I think it was definitely murder. We are not taught that way as police officers to hold somebody on the ground with our knee on their neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. That's not something that's taught in any police academy. That's not something that's taught in any retread academy. It's not taught anywhere. And there were a lot of things that came out that I did not know, that they actually got him into the car and closed the door. It's a done deal at that point. You have him in the car, you drive to the police station. He's kicking and screaming, kicks and screams, but you don't take him back out of the car.
Right.
You spend all that time trying to get him in, and now you have him in, and then you take him back out. So that was concerning for me, and just the number of experts and how the chief and defensive tactics lieutenant and all the people have testified. I think the prosecution is doing excellent in terms of making a good case. It's just sad to see it and to watch it. It's being an African American male, it's difficult. It's hard to watch him down on the ground until he takes his last breath. I mean, that's traumatic. And we deal with a lot of use of force encounters where we have to arrest people. Sometimes people don't want to cooperate and go to jail. They want to fight. And we have to stay safe too. But you don't punish somebody just because they're kicking and flailing. You cuff them up and you get them up, you hold them up, tell them to stop and stop resisting. I mean, everything's on the body cam. You can see it. And you can show their behavior to the court and say, hey, this is what he's doing. This is what she's doing. You can see it right here. And this is what my actions were. This is what the deputies or officers' actions were. So watching the trial, I've been very enthused with how the prosecution is handling it. Been watching the defense the last couple of days as well.
Okay.
Don't think that their arguments are going to stand because again, the video speaks for itself. It's very clear. They had him. He was in the car. At some point, somebody decided to take him out of the car and bring him on the ground and hold the knee to the neck for 9 minutes. That's excessive. That's the classic meaning of excessive force.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I have like a host of guidebooks. I've read half of them. I know I get to get through the rest of them on the what to do and stop by the police, how to survive a stop. One of the books I have read was an activist he was an activist. He was really upset. He was protesting what was happening with police encounters. And then he became a police officer. And he started programming it was on the East Coast. And he started programming where he was mentoring Black youth. He was Black. And so that's why I say to young people, if you're really upset, some of y'all are meant to become the police. Some of y'all and go inside and fix it internally. I know Sheriff Clayton said that you guys are looking to recruit more folks, Black folk, women, police officers to come in. Again, not the skitterish type. If you skitterish, you do not need to become a police. If you trigger happy, if you're scared of Black people, do not become a police officer. Don't do it. And I mean, I feel like, I don't know that you guys have it in Washtenaw. Is there a residency requirement for Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office or?
No.
But
No.
I feel that, I know they didn't have it for the case with Dante Wright. But I feel in certain circumstances like Detroit, y'all, it needs to be a residency requirement because you're going to treat people a lot differently if you live in that community than if you just come in, pick up a check and you're dealing with folks and then you get to go home or whatever. You don't really have your pulse. I mean, if you're African-American, obviously you would have more of a pulse on what's happening. But I'm saying, if you don't have your pulse on being in the community, living in the community, being amongst the people, understanding their struggles, how can you? I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense.
And I take it back. We have it's 25. You have to live within 25 miles of the county. So,
okay.
That gets you. I mean, county is 720 square miles, and got a lot of area that you can live at and still be in the county.
Right. Well, I don't have any other questions. Did you have anything else you wanted to share with the audience on these topics?
I just wanted to thank you for inviting me, and definitely we want to make sure that our young brothers and sisters and everybody comes home safely. We want a safe community for everybody. We don't want anyone getting hurt. So I always tell my sons, I always say, hey, decisions that you make now will impact you for the rest of your life in the future. If you make a bad decision now, it will carry with you. So I'm always preaching that and going around to schools and telling people, kids especially, make the right decision and choose your friends wisely. So I thank you, Robin, for letting me come on today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I mean, maybe we'll be doing something virtually. I don't know. We're not really going in person, anything. Maybe we'll be at a school. We'll do it virtually. Folks will see this. And because I definitely I don't know, it's a much more a fun experience to talk to kids before they get in trouble. When you go visit them in the jail or you talk to them on the phone, it is not fun. That is not fun for me. I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's not, I problem solve. I try to help get them the best results as possible, dismissal, things like that. But I would much prefer like I did a program at Martin Luther King High School, and they said, oh, our kids got into a situation the next day and they listened to your tips and they avoided a problem. So that's why I'm like, I want to hear more, or I want to hear more of the positive stuff, because the negative stuff later for that's draining and exhausting. But yeah, so I appreciate all that you do, and I'm glad that you're healthy, you're doing well, and just keep doing what you do.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, and I'm thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. And yeah, I'm sure I'll be in touch about any future programming. If there's any programming that you think I might benefit that you guys are doing, let me know, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you letting me come on and let me talk. So I appreciate you very much and all the work that you're doing in the community. Outstanding.
All right. Well, likewise. Thank you. Okay. So
Thank
you
you.
have a blessed evening.
Thank you. You as well. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, folks. See you later.